That sounds awesome. Got it. Got it. Diana's on the treadmill. Good for you, Diana. Oh. How's everybody else doing this morning?
It's definitely a Saturday morning. From the week.
There we go. Kind of just, yeah. Oh, look at Diana. Diana's doing fabulous. She's been up, moving. Good job, Diana.
I feel good. I had a shower, so I'm starting the day out clean.
Okay, we're perking up.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So last week, we talked about the law of addition. We had a really great conversation about the law of addition. And we had some suggestions for people and some questions. Does anybody remember what those were? Hi. So one of the questions, first of all, one of the suggestions was from Carrie, and I don't think Carrie can come on this morning, but she asked who had written their resume, that writing your resume was a really valuable exercise in finding the places that you had to offer value to people. So that's really cool. We've got two Janelle Phillips on here, so I'm going to bet that maybe Jimmy Lou is logged in as Janelle. That's cool.
No, it's me both, because I'm on my phone listening to you and on my computer recording.
Oh, that's it. You're cute twice.
Thank you.
I love it. Oh, I was going to say, because I was logged in as Janelle when I started this morning. So we're trying to all get started out who we're at. So the question that we sort of ended with in terms of thinking about was, what do I diminish in my sphere of influence? What do I devalue in myself in terms of what's my awareness there in terms of what I could be offering to other people? And we invited you all to think about that through this past week. And if you would be willing to share with us what awarenesses or what thoughts have come to your mind in terms of places that you maybe haven't really valued what you have to offer other people. So if you want to either just raise your hand or unmute. And I see Noelle, you're unmuted. Did you have something? Are you able to hear me, Noelle? Maybe not. Okay, anybody else on what you kind of thought about during the past week in terms of the things of value?
Sorry about that. I guess for me, it would be how I'm coming across to people when I'm trying to talk to them, whether it be, just a friend or a family member, or, when I'm reaching out to people, just how am I adding value to what I'm saying. And I did miss last week, so I had to catch up on that.
Yeah, that's good, Diana. How you add value. For me, I think my awareness was I am often focused on adding value, but maybe I need to be just as focused on what the other person needs at the moment. What what their, and it's a subtle switch, but it's that switch of intentionality between shifting from how can I add value to you, that question, to how do you need, what do you need today? What are your needs right now? And I just spent a fabulous 24 hours. I went to Saskatoon. I had an appointment. I visited with a friend. I kind of stayed a little bit longer visiting than I had originally planned, just because it felt like there were some spaces and some conversation that had value for both of us to dig into a little bit. So maybe that's a bit of just awareness of where you are in the moment and where the person that you're with is in the moment.
Sherry, I think you just said something super brilliant that is very helpful for, or would be very helpful for all of us to really consider. You guys know it's really been on my heart right now in this season, just some heaviness, like those kinds of things, and the mental health of people around us and our own mental health and what we need. I think that it's brilliant that you kind of detected that there was still value to be had by staying longer, by having the conversation. And so I think I would pose kind of the question, not a question that you need to answer, but for all of us, what would add value to me today? What relationship can I invest in that would add value to me, that would help me to continue adding value to others? You know, I was talking with my son yesterday and I was just saying, you know, there's a lot of people that are reacting to the world right now, but they're not reacting from their baseline. They're reacting from a place of not being necessarily well. And I think we need to protect our own mental health. And by looking at who can I go to, who I know adds value to me, that will help to fill my cup so that I can continue to do what I'm doing. So that's very wise, Sherry.
Thank you, Janelle. You expressed that much better than I had. That's really good.
I just think it's so important for us to do. The other thing that I was just going to add with adding value is, you know, at a certain point in our leadership, we need to assess, and I think that it's different points, kind of like checkpoints in our leadership, where we need to be like, I think I need to up my value that I'm adding. And so, hold on a second, I'm going to cough. Hang on. Pardon me. I've really seen two people shining in that value add this past week. Stacy, who I don't think is with us, wasn't able to be here with us, and Diana, they're realizing that they need to add new value or different value or continue to stretch themselves so that they're adding the value that their community needs or that their account needs in order to grow in the way that they want. So hats off to you guys for looking for those value adding nuggets. Both of them were humorous yesterday. I loved them. They did some reels, if you guys haven't seen. And they're doing it scared, but they're doing it because they have a desire to grow. And in that desire to grow is a desire to add value to their community.
Cody?
I've learned over this week that I need to really pay attention to what my truth is in various things, but also watch and believe that other people are talking and doing things from their point of truth. And it may not be the same, or it may be the same, whichever, it doesn't really matter. But I need to pay attention and work with people where they're at, whatever that is, and whatever their truth is. It doesn't it matters, but it doesn't matter to me what my truth is if it varies from their truth. We need to come together with our truths and work out at whatever level that needs to be at. It's not a I'm right, you're right, you're wrong, I'm wrong, whichever way it is. It's a matter of, okay, that's your truth. Okay, how do we go from there? Okay, this is my truth. How do we go from there? It doesn't really matter what it is. It's just, how do we make these conversations not be about strife and disagreement because one doesn't agree with the other. It's just, okay, sure. What do we need to do to take the next step of conversations, of friendships, of work relationships, whatever. But yeah, it's been kind of fun actually, because it's certainly making me grow. As you know, I've always kind of been, I'm me and you're you, and you do you whatever way you need to. But now it's, okay, you do you and I'll do me, but how can I come beside you, alongside you, and help you wherever you're at? So it's been entertaining, sometimes a little frustrating, but you know, it's a learning experience. So anyways, that's me.
That's really good, Cody, because yes, and I think, as Janelle has said, it's a time for that. It's a time where your truth and my truth might not look exactly the same, but that coming together and conversation and walking alongside matters, and it matters a lot. But just a few people that just came in. And so we were just having a little bit of a conversation about the question that we'd asked at the end of the last session on how you value yourself. Do you diminish yourself in what you can offer or your area of influence? And so we were just sharing some of the awarenesses that we had come to over the past week in that area. So if anyone would like to add to that just before we move on to our new law, that would be fabulous. And Jimmy, I see you have your microphone open to talk, so I'm inviting you to share.
No sharing this morning. I'm going to take it all in. I missed so many weeks. I'm behind in my stuff, and I'm okay to say that. But yeah, I was kind of somewhere for a whole Saturday. So yeah, but I definitely want to hear what other people are at. And today's my day to catch up. So I'm excited to glean from the others in the group. So
we're excited to have you share, no matter where you're at. Okay, so we're going to move then into law number 6, which is the law of solid ground. This one is all about trust. It's about trust everywhere. Trust in you. And maybe one of the key things is trust in yourself, because it's always about, first we have to trust ourselves. We have to understand trust. And then we move into trusting other people. And I don't know, but I'm sure every one of us has had an experience in our past where we trusted someone and somehow the trust started to fragment. Somehow, and maybe it was a big thing, or maybe it wasn't a big thing, but the trust kind of started to dissolve. It just wasn't the ground wasn't as solid anymore. And so John Maxwell says, trust is like change in a leader's pocket. Each time you make good leadership decisions, you earn more change. Each time you make poor decisions, you pay out some of your change to the people. And trust is like that. Each time you do trust building activities, thoughts, sayings, each time people see, oh, yes, that's who they are. They're authentic. Yes, that's congruent. It's a trust building piece. But when people see different behaviors, they may feel that that's a trust dissolving piece. So the question I wanted us to start with, and it's a difficult question, and I guess I feel a bit privileged that I feel that I can ask the question in this group, and people will dig deep for answers to share. And the question I have is, what behaviors are important to you when building trust with someone? So expanding on that a little bit. So what kinds of things matter? And I'll just give a really simple example. If I say that I'm going to meet somebody at a certain time, they're there, I'm there, or we've communicated why something's happened, that we're going to be a few minutes late, a few minutes early. There's been a connection of it. And in terms of some friends that I have, they could be 10 minutes late. They're always 10 minutes late. I know that's who they are, but we've got a lot of change in the bucket. So I know that that trust is there. I've got other friends. They're always there. They're always on time. And if something happens and they're not there on time, I'm confident there's a problem. There's an issue. And I'm concerned about them right away. But trust is one of those pieces that what we say and what we do, the congruency of those pieces matters. So for me, that whole, are we paying attention? Are we building trust with that communication and connection is a piece for me. So I'd like to invite other people that are here to share what behavior matters to you when building trust. Yes, Chelsea.
It's when they say something and then they do the other. Like they'll say, yeah, I do this or whatever, and then, or I'm gonna do this, or let's do this weekend or whatever, and then all of a sudden they ghost you. You know?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I guess, those kind of, like, I've always dealt with those relationships all the time, but for some reason, I don't know why, it's like I attract them. I don't know, maybe it's a result of me of knowing the expectation that I know it's going to happen.
That's an interesting awareness, Chelsea.
But like, it's always happened throughout my life since I guess my dad never being around, or like past relationships. There's always I expect them to fail, so then they fail anyways.
Oh, so, okay. So is it okay if I just kind of ask a clarifying question on that, Chelsea? So what I'm hearing you say is that that's a trust building piece, but that when we set it up, our expectations have a connection to how it works out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of like a ripple effect, you kind of almost attract on what you fear or what you're going to expect. That's what I've noticed. Like, and then it just, you're going to, I guess it's from the last study that we did. It's, you almost kind of like, it goes through your mind, and then you kind of act upon what's going in your mind all the time, right? So you're always talking to yourself. If you're going to talk about yourself being negative, then you're going to attract the negative. If you're going to talk about your relationship's not quite, well, it'll probably happen again. and then it happens again.
That is very wise, Chelsea. That's
Okay.
really wise. That's, I hope everybody really, yeah, I really felt that.
That coffee must have, it's really good.
That coffee did you
morning.
good this morning.
It was wise coffee.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's a lot. But that's, I've always kind of lately have been kind of like putting those two and two together. And it's really hard to like separate yourself from it because you've always done it. But yeah, it's quite, yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Oh, that's really good. That's really a huge awareness. Huge. Jimmy Lou says her internet's sucky and she missed that. She wants you to repeat, Chelsea.
It's on recording.
Good job, Chelsea.
One time thing.
Okay, it's worth listening to the whole recording for that, Jimmy Lou.
It's just the beginning.
Just the beginning. Okay. Who else would like to share?
Well, for me, trust is huge, first of all. That is my word of the year. And so I have been really, really working hard on that. And the first one that I needed to learn to trust, and I've done this over many, many years, is the Lord. He is, he's my solid ground. He's the one that no matter what's going on, I can trust him. And I agree with Chelsea 100%. It's, you know, it's your mindset as well. You need to be able to, you know, switch the switch. And yeah, so that's just my little piece this morning. And without God, I would not be where I am today.
Really good, Diana. Thank
I'm
you.
with you there, Diana. Without God, I wouldn't be here either.
Yeah. Jimmy?
Just I ditto to that. Like that's not even a great word to say with that, but amen to that. This world is showing us that we cannot depend on man. We are to depend on God. He is the one that provides and gives us the provisions that we need for every day. It says, do not worry about tomorrow, right? And I think that many people are coming to that place. Do not, don't look to our leaders or to our people that say this and then change their mind and do this. And right, we are to look to God. This morning, a group of us came together and we prayed on a Zoom, and it was really good. And that was something that really came out, is that we have really, it's hard to say this, but we really don't have, we can't trust anybody. And I don't mean it like that, but you know what I mean? Like, we are to put our full trust and wait upon the Lord. So yeah, absolutely. Ditto to amen. And yeah, we need to just do that. So he's the one to trust.
That's really good. That's, and I think you really, in your comments, Jimmy Lou really made it clear that when people say one thing but do something different, that's when trust is lost. And we have been experiencing those kinds of situations. So yes, Amy.
It actually made me think back to kids and teenagers, and one of those things that we do and don't do, and how we do the whole telling them a little bit for their at their level of understanding, without not telling them, or without lying, and lying by omission and lying in all those sorts of ways. But as a child, you don't give them everything all at once. You try and give them what they're capable of, and that means each child is different and each person is. And that's where, when you start getting into larger masses of people and talking, if you treat them all like a 2-year-old, and only 1% are 2-year-olds, you've deliberately eroded those trust bases. And when you're talking with large groups of people, you don't get to talk to the top 1% either. But even starting out with that basis and saying, we know there's people that are going to have higher and lower knowledge, and this is where we're at, a disclaimer like that sets everybody up for an expectation of what they're going to hear. And we'll pick a year and a half ago, when we don't really know what's going on. Today we're going to do this. We don't really know what's going on. We're going to do this. They started actually off okay, because they did remind us that they don't know. Somewhere along the lines, they definitely stopped doing that. Which is also pointed out in the books. And the story of the Vietnam War.
Right. And then the story that he describes in the book of providing some of the information that was basically accurate, but by shifting the perspective on other information, it came across as completely erroneous. I really like your teenagers conversation, because when I think about it, you know, you have 4 kids. I had 4 kids. They're all different ages. They all understand things differently. And you tell one something, and you tell this one something, and you're telling them based on the age level appropriate information. But then they talk, and they're like, well, Mom didn't say that to me. Wow, she didn't tell me the truth. And the whole thing can explode in a lack of trust piece. Until you can say, okay, let me hear what you think you heard from me, and let me share what I think I shared with you. So the trust piece gets built on that change I talked about, that relationship that says we need more communication. We're back to that communication piece on it. So if you think about times, and we've clearly all been able to think about times when we lost trust, what kinds of things can bring trust back? How do you regain trust?
Consistency
Yeah, consistency.
of the right behavior, I guess.
Consistency over time. Oh, Janelle, we're thrilled you're back. Consistency over time. Sharon, yes.
I think a lot of times an apology will take you far.
Yes.
Right? Because it's even like, I don't know, elephant in the room. It's like with the stuff that's going on right now in the government, how far would it take them if someone would just say, you know what, we were wrong. I'm sorry. We were operating on the information we had. Sorry. But this is what we know now. Right? To have the humility to do that, right? It would regain trust. Right. And then I think in our lives too, like even as a parent, right? To say, I'm sorry, I called that wrong. right? It regains trust, right? Because it helps know that that leader is actually valuing you.
Right.
Mhm.
That's absolutely true, Sharon.
And I think that the apology goes to what they were saying in the book about, hold on, I've got to find where I highlighted it. Basically it's talking about where you're trying to grow, right? It shows an area you're trying to grow in. So by acknowledging that you were wrong, by saying you're wrong, and then making amends to go forward, it shows growth, right? So I actually think about the times when, we always say Plexus always makes it right. Well, there's a lot of us here who have been through some storms, and we have seen the rubber meet the road, where we've seen things go badly and we've seen them bend over backwards to do everything that they can. Because in a company, there's going to be shipping problems. There's going to be there will be issues. Expect them. Have trust in your company that they're going to do the right thing, right? The other thing I was going to say as far as Plexus goes, because I love this company and they continue to just blow me away, is they do things to continue to build your trust when you didn't even really need it. Like, I trust you, y'all are good. And then they do something ridiculously generous or totally for example, this new rollout of the VIP thing, it's not ready. So guys, it's not ready. Well, hey, that built my trust. I know that they're not going to put this program out until it has the bugs worked out, because they're not willing to give it to me to make us deal with them, right? Dog barking. And then because they were sorry that it didn't roll out, they're doing, double success sprints this month. They're doing $1 membership still. They are taking away the social insurance number, social security number. Like, they've made allowances to be like, hey, we're so sorry here, right? And Plexus does this time and time again.
Yeah, definitely trust building, definitely an example of their integrity and their intent to be a company that is trustworthy. Yeah.
And I think that that's a piece too, right? Like, you can look for opportunities to build trust with somebody, not wait until there is a snag or a, whatever, where you have to show up and be like, hey, here's my opportunity to shine. You can give yourself an opportunity to build trust with somebody and make those deposits, like you were talking about, put some of those coins in the bank,
right.
And do that over and over and over again. And then by the time you meet a rough patch or whatever, you have so many of those deposits already in there, right?
Yeah.
Like building credit. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that goes along with our customer care, that that's why the three-way chat is important, because it helps us that they're getting they're learning about this group of people. It's not just one person, but it's other people that they're, as you converse with them and talk about how's your, how are you doing on your product and this and that, and sharing, and how's your weekend and whatever. It helps to put those deposits so that when something comes up and, they're going through detox and you're like, oh, hey, you know what, really what you probably need is that ease. And I know we talked about it, but, what do you think would be great to order? Not oh, she's just trying to get me to order something else, right? Because I've already put that deposit in of that trust, right? Like, hey, I'm here to support. It comes more easily, right? It doesn't come with a, who's this lady talking to me, right? And so that's important. And I know as being farther up, I think Janelle and I can say this, we are still human. We make mistakes, right? And so that part of it is hard. We're still human, we make mistakes, right? And people want to rely upon us, and sometimes we're not always there, and that's when the apology comes in, like, I'm so sorry, you wanted me to be, whatever part of this or something, and I couldn't make it. And I think that goes a long way. Apologies go a long way, and yeah, so, but I love this company because exactly, they make it right every single time. Even when we screwed up, they make it right for us. So I love it.
That actually brings my brain around to, where were we talking about scheduling? What law were we talking about? Process.
Process.
And I was thinking about this because I know for myself, in times of stress, high stress, not right now, I'm not stressed out, but in times of stress, I will often close, right? Like the people who maybe you would see on the street and you would say hello, those people fall off of your radar first, or you know what I mean? Like you keep on kind of closing circles when you're stressed, and it for me anyway. And so if I'm super stressed, the people that I'm going to support the most are my family, right? The next step out are my leaders, my friends. The next step out are, their leaders, and they're like, do you know what I mean? Like it's almost like a circle. But I think that for this law of solid ground, for people who maybe are similar to me, and I tend to get really caught up in my mind, if I don't pay attention to that law of process, and I don't give myself the space to do the things that need to be done for the people that need to have them done, it'll all mount up, and then I'll have to start doing this. And really, if I just simply pay attention to the law of process, then this law of solid ground is supported because I have time and space, right? It's just like, we go back to it every week. We need all of the 21 laws, and we can see how all of these things just nicely build upon each other. And I was just listening to a podcast yesterday talking about how important it is for us to be, we're gosh dang professionals, right? Every single one of us, when we're time blocking things in, when you time block something and you give it a name and a space, and it's a have to, and it's putting that emphasis on that having to be done. And that can literally be law of solid ground. We can be talking about our communities, like our online communities, showing up, giving value, being consistent in our stories, all of those kinds of things. That's law of solid ground. So you need to put those pockets together so that they happen, and you're not kind of flung around with the wind, right? Because people want to know, just like Jimmy was saying, they want to know they can trust you. It's a huge part of our business. If you are consistently showing up, right? It's like the people that we talk about. If I know that some of you ladies who are super consistent with your stories have not posted a story in 24 hours, I might send out a search party, because I will know something is wrong. Don't we love, like, I will know if Laura Clausen has been kidnapped within probably about 15 minutes of her going missing, because her activity, I know where to go to look for her. She's brilliant. She doesn't realize that she's built this, like, we know where she is, right? I have to go.
I think that's really good. And it brings me back to a word that Chelsea said way on earlier, and that we've kind of repeated the theme of, and it's building expectations. It's how we set up expectations. It's right from the beginning. Do we set up expectations for our product realistically, authentically? I remember a time when I was afraid to tell somebody there might be detox, because I was afraid that then maybe they wouldn't be willing to try it. Well, the reality was I was losing trust by not providing authentic expectations. And I've had a few learning opportunities, experiences through my time with the clearer the expectations that I can provide, the more trust it builds in the process. Like Jimmy Lou says, saying to somebody that ease is going to be beneficial or an anti-inflammatory is going to be beneficial. And if you're not ready for that right now, that's great. Let's just keep it in the back of our mind because you may find a time when there would be value for you. Or you may or may not go through a detox time, a time when you're feeling yucky because you're in the process of getting rid of the junk. And for me, getting some of those expectations more accurately communicated have been huge in the trust process.
Mhm.
And that does reflect on the teenage conversation too.
Indeed. Indeed. Amy, I'm laughing at you because you're saying you reviewed my stories this week to see if I, and you know, fair. And that's why I started dropping into chats being like, hey, y'all, just so you know, I'm not right. I'm not feeling great. I don't want to like start showing up on social because this does not elicit health and happiness and I just can't. But also, FYI, batching things that of your face, I realized I'm like, Sherry does a great little, if you guys have watched her stories, she mixes up her slim. Guys, it could be the same video every day and nobody would know the difference. And I'm like, gosh, dang it, I do not have one of those. I was like looking through my archive. I'm like, please let me have something where I'm mixing up my slim where it's like not indicative of the date, right? I couldn't find anything. I was like, okay, mental note, I need to batch some of those. But I had reels that I'd done like weeks ago. And I'm like, well, I cannot put a healthy face forward, but I can stick some text on a reel and it looks like I'm showing up today. So we're going to do that. Not that I want to be inauthentic, but in the climate that we're in right now, I don't really feel like answering anybody's questions that is outside of this little pocket of people. I'm really good to answer your questions. If y'all want to know if I'm sick or not, I'm really cool with that. But yeah, no, hard pass.
Amy?
Yes.
That's wonderful. Cody made a brilliant comment in the chat, and the chat doesn't get attached to the recording. So I would really like Cody.
And Cody, do you have your wingman with you today too, or are you flying solo?
I'm flying solo. We've got guests downstairs, so I
Your
snuck
brilliance
off
is
to
all your own.
join
Okay,
the class.
take it away.
Well, this time. Okay, what did I say? I have to go look.
You said be straightforward and telling
being
people.
straightforward and flat and straight out telling people, hey, I'm new, but let me ask the question, or let's work through this together. Or like I said, in my day job, I quite often say, I don't know the answer, but hang on, let me go find out. I think I know some people I can check in with, and I'll get back to you, and I'll call you within an hour and let you know where I'm at one way or the other. And if it's, if it's, hey, I still don't know, but I'm still working on it, people are like, yeah, cool, that's all right. Or here's the answer. They're like, oh, how did you find, I don't know, I just ask some questions, but it's, it makes people trust that you have their back, or you are actually interested in solving the question or the problem or resolving what's going on. And that goes really far with people on their trust in you.
Cody, I think that saying I don't know actually builds more trust in you than giving everybody the answer.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
FYI.
Even if you
do know, you'd be like, I don't know, let me just check that out. You can go find some more information.
Yeah, or even I think I know the answer, but let me get some clarity and get back to you on it, right? So yeah, for sure.
Love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I don't know why it is that we're hesitant to tell somebody that we don't know something. Like, I don't know any job that I started that I knew everything from the get-go. And in fact, I can't think of any job that I've ever done where I've known everything for always. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we should, yeah, maybe I need to say I don't know more often. Yes, Amy.
Some of that in the I don't know, I've actually done some of the, I feel like I read something about magnesium that would help with that, but let me go check that out. Because sometimes people want to be reassured that this is not a new question for you, that this is an okay thing, that lots of people, I actually use the phrase, I've had some people try this. Some people, this works. And some people is so generic, it kind of, you could take that out of the sentence. But it's a connector for people, right? Oh, somebody else tried it. And somebody else tried it and it worked. And somebody else tried it and it didn't work. And we can keep digging deeper and it's okay. I'm okay. I'm normal. It normalizes the process a bit.
I agree. I just said that to Nikki yesterday. It's like, I feel like I remember that. I'm a little brain foggy on this today. I can't, it's there, but it's not really coming. But you know what it also does for us is it shows people duplication or replication, the ability to be duplicatable, right? Somebody is coming to you for a problem. You're like, I'm not sure. I'm going to go over to, and then telling them how you found the answer, right? Or even saying that to your kids too. I'll use an example. We had friends, one of the places that we lived that refused to admit to their children if they were ever wrong because they felt that they had to be infallible. And they refused to say, I don't know, because they felt like they had to be the authority all the time. And I didn't agree with that line of parenting. Might work for some, not for me. I love to tell my kids, I actually don't know the answer to that. I'm going to have to Google it. So why don't you do that? This is what I would do. Because in my parenting world, I would prefer to teach my children how to be problem solvers so that they don't need to feel like they're going to receive this download of information at a certain age and they're going to know all the things. No, you actually need to go and figure out how to find the answers in the world. I think honestly, it's similar to teaching a man how to fish, right? You need to teach them how to problem solve and find answers.
Or let's look together. Let's search together. And that usually gets people excited about searching or looking or doing or finding their own answer. You don't even need to be the one to give them the answer. They tend to find it themselves, and you say, yay, look at us go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if we were going to think about what trust looks like to us, and therefore what are the people that we're building relationships are looking for from us. So we're probably kind of thinking about the same characteristics. But if we think about what characteristics we are looking for in that trust or integrity piece, and I've heard a few of them, like I've heard consistency, I've heard authenticity. What else? I've heard be willing to apologize or say that you don't know or say that you're wrong. What other kinds of characteristics or behaviors are you looking for in that trust relationship?
I think availability is one.
Mm.
Not that you always have to be available to everyone, but you need to know when you can access that person if you need them. Cody.
being heard.
Big.
I love that one.
Being heard. Like, we can have a conversation and I'll feel like somebody else is doing all the talking and nothing I say is hitting, and vice versa. And then it's time to, okay, we either need to back off or change how this is, because this is not working. And there is
We're trying to hear you. You're cutting out.
Yeah, you cut out just at the end a little bit.
But I think we got the gist.
Yeah.
It's breaking up a bit. But yeah, being heard for sure.
oh sorry, feel heard.
Yeah, feeling heard.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else? Sharon? Yeah.
I think it's just knowing how much somebody really and truly cares, right? So I mean, that would be part of being heard, and all of the things. But somebody can get away with a whole lot if you know that they really and truly care for you, because they have shown you that, right? I think some of it's like the change idea, right? Where if you know that somebody really genuinely loves you and is there for you no matter what, then you're gonna have more trust, right? Because that person has earned their right to speak into your life, right? Whereas if someone just rocks up, for me at least, I don't care if you're in a position of authority or who you are. Why should I listen to you? Do you actually care about me? Do you know me? Do I actually matter to you? Right? And if I don't, then it is really going to limit the trust that I give someone and the influence that I allow them to have over me. Right? Sorry, it's kind of noisy here in the background. Yeah, that's interesting, because I know for me, like, I'm a rules follower. I'm one of those people where I do follow the rules. I'm not naturally rebellious, so I can't imagine how it is for someone who does have more of an authority issue, right? How much that is magnified in them. It's just a.
Yeah, there's definitely a saying, Sharon, I need to know how much you care before I care how much you know. And that is absolutely a wise saying.
Again, one more time, Sherry.
You want me to repeat that, Jimmy Lou?
Oh, sorry, my internet is terrible. Say that one more time.
So the saying,
What you just said.
Yeah, the saying is, I need to know how much you care before I care how much you know.
Perfect. Yes, that's a good one.
Any others? I'll just summarize what we've got. We've talked consistency, we've talked authenticity, we've talked availability, we've talked about feeling heard, being heard, and we've talked about how much you care. Yeah, Amy, do you have another one?
In my little notes, I have many things, but one of them is competency. It is all great and dandy, but you could know a lot of stuff about one area and you should not be talking about another. You know,
There are just so many
Political
people.
science people should not be telling me what I should inject into my body or should not.
Oh, there are just so many very applicable things that we could use as stories right now. Mm.
We are 100% respecting everybody's decisions in this area.
We totally are. It's fine. However, you know what? I will actually use that as an interesting example because I'm just gonna, this was just really shocking to me. Last year, March-ish, April-ish, the Canadian Dietitians Association came out with an official statement saying that there was no way to build your immunity through supplementation or food. And I was like, well, I know what I think about y'all now, because before I would have thought that your authority was up here and you just went in my mind. And I was like, do you hear yourself talking right? Like you put that in print, so you proofread it, and did it make sense to you? So you know what? Sometimes we need to thank other people because it really does clarify where we should be getting our information and where we should not.
Actually, I think that's actually a really good comment. And I think we're just a couple minutes from closing, but I'll wrap that around a little bit because anybody that speaks in an area that they are not competent in, just like you said, Amy, those of us, others who are competent in that area, it totally exposes their lack and therefore totally depletes the trust we might have in what they're telling us. Go ahead, Amy.
And vice versa, you can't assume. So I'll pick a hairdresser. You know, you're going to ask her about all the hair stuff, but she may be the one running the business and doing the books and prepping the taxes. So when she has a suggestion about something, which they're not linear, it's not like you have to have one to have the other. They're parallel. You can't just dismiss saying she doesn't know what she's talking about. You should actually have the conversation about her competency in that area.
Yeah, totally respecting from her position. This has been really good. Do you have any final comments, Janelle? Because this has been an absolutely fabulous conversation, and I'm just really excited about going forward into the next one, which is the law of respect, which totally builds on trust. But the final comment in the book, in terms of the quote that I really like, is the only thing that walks back from the tomb with the mourners and refuses to be buried is the character of a man. This is true. What a man is survives him. So
Absolutely.
Who we are is what lasts.
Mm-hmm. I have one more quick thought, but I absolutely loved that closing. This just occurred to me. Building trust happens in an arena like this. So again, we thank you for coming here into this space, because what you are all doing is you are building trust with your sidelines. You're building relationships, and this will elevate you as well. But this is like this here, this screen is the perfect picture of how to apply the law of solid ground and how to build solid ground with other people. So thank you for choosing to do that with us. Thank you for allowing us to do that with you, because it works both ways. And yeah, this morning has been so valuable. I love starting out my Saturdays like this. I really, really do. All right, guys, I think that's all the things. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, everyone, for sharing and being here.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day and week, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Bye.